Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's class, How to Discover Your Purpose and Change Your Life. I am Dr. Kiki Ramsey, and I am so happy to be with you for this live class today. Okay, so listen, if you know me, you've been following me for any period of time, you'd know that I love the topic of finding your purpose. I've helped hundreds or even thousands of women really discover their purpose in life. And the reason why this is so important to me is because I went through a process at one point in my life where I would cry. I mean, I would literally cry because I just didn't know what my purpose was. And so I am committed more than ever to figure out to help you figure out what your purpose is in life, because I mean, the truth be told, somebody is waiting for you to actually share your purpose, right? Somebody is waiting for you. And if you are joining me live on this class, I invite you to drop your name in the chat, say hello, tell me where you're tuning in from. Hey Deborah, I see you. And if you have questions throughout this class, please feel free to drop those in the chat as well. And we are going to kind of jump in. So purpose, right? Like, have you ever, truly asked yourself or ever felt like there was more to life, but you just don't know where to start? Most of my clients think that. I am an executive coach and I'm a positive psychologist. And a lot of people will ask me, what is positive psychology? Well, positive psychology is the study of what goes right with you. So often we think about psychology, right? Psychology is a deficit model. When you think about psychology, you think about depression, anxiety, all these ailments. But when you think about positive psychology, you think about the opposite. What goes right with you? What are our strengths? How do we live the good life? And so that's what we think about when we're thinking about positive psychology. So I have committed my life to really exploring happiness, what makes us happy, what makes us succeed, and ultimately what our purpose in life is, because I think it's so important for us to know that, because like I said, our purpose is rooted in helping someone else. And so let's talk about that for a minute, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your purpose in life, right? We think that when it comes to purpose, it's this big spooky and scary thing, like, oh my God, what's my purpose in life? And if I don't figure it out, then, and I get it. Trust me, I was there. I was like, oh my God, I really need to know my purpose in life. If I don't figure it out, then, I don't know what's going to happen to me, all those things. And I think that that's right, from a certain standpoint, but it's not the end of the world, right? It's not the end of the world, but you are going to have to figure it out. And when I say it's not the end of the world, it's easier than you think. It's easier than you think. And chances are you already know, from my definition, what it is, but you just may think you don't know. So let me give you a definition of purpose. So your purpose is, right? And this is all about purpose. Your purpose is to help someone else in this lifetime and to make the world a better place. So that's all of our purpose. I truly believe that you were placed on this planet to be a beacon of light for someone else. Period. Like point blank, period. You are placed on this earth to be a beacon of light for someone else. Now, what we get mixed up on, here's what we get mixed up on. We get mixed up on the vehicle, is what I call the vehicle, right? So the vehicle is how you share your purpose with someone else and with the world. That's what I call the vehicle. And our vehicle is different for all of us. All of us have a different vehicle. When I first started off trying to figure out what my purpose was, I knew that I could communicate. Like, I knew that I had this gift of communication. My very first vehicle was speaking. That was my vehicle. So although I knew that my purpose was to help someone else, which ultimately was to help women, right, succeed, to be successful, I knew that I had a love for communication. I had a love for speaking, right? And so that ultimately became the vehicle in which I poured into the lives of women. Now my vehicles have expanded. So I speak, I write books, I teach, I coach. All those are my vehicles and ways that I share my purpose in life. But ultimately, my purpose is to help women succeed, right? That is what it is. And the vehicle in which I do it has grown over the years. You see why I say it's not as hard as you think? Now, here's the thing. I think that we are fortunate enough, you're fortunate enough to, if your job is the vehicle that you love and the way that you share, your gifts and talents with the world, then I think that that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But just know that it's not that case for everybody. But here's the thing about that. You can change your job, boo. You can change it. Now, I know. I know sometimes we think we can't change. That's my next class coming up, is how we can change up our jobs, our careers at any age. So make sure you tune into the next class that I'm teaching. But for this class, you can change a job, you can change your vehicle at any time. You just have to be willing to go through the trouble and the drama that it may cause for you to change it up. And here's the thing, most of us women, we stay comfortable because we got so many other things to do. I mean, I got 2 little kiddos. I have an adult son. That's a whole nother story because, you parent adult children different than you do young children. But I have 2 little ones in the household, and I have a husband. We just moved into a new house. And so we're unpacking and moving, and everything is in disarray. And so the last thing I probably want to do is figure out a new job. The last thing you might not want to do is figure out a new job. I get it. And some of us don't move until we're pushed. We don't move until we pushed. Well, let's this year, let's not be pushed out of a career or a job. Let's move on our own. You already know you want to change. Let's move on your own. And I think that is so important. So let's go back. Your purpose in life is to help somebody else. What we want to do here is what I'm committed to helping you figure out is, how do you want to do that? What is the best way for you to be able to help someone else? I'll share a story with you. Y'all know I got like 15,000 degrees, right? I've been through so much schooling. I have 4 degrees. And my last degree, of course, is a PhD in business psychology. But prior to that, I went to school to get a master's in social work. Had always loved psychology and everything like that. But from undergrad, because I was a single mom at the time, I couldn't fathom going to school for 4 to 6 years. And so I went to school and I got a master's in social work, and it taught me so many things. Like, it just taught me, so many things, and it taught me how to help. Some of you know that I grew up sleeping on a couch in a crack house while my mom was upstairs getting high. I mean, that was the way that I was raised. But at a very young age, I made a promise to myself that I was going to be successful, no matter what bad things happened in my life. And at the time, I didn't even know what success was, but I knew that it wasn't that. And you probably know the same. You know that it's not where you're at right now. This is not your definition of success. And so over the years, my sole goal was to help my mom get off of drugs. That was my sole purpose in life, was to help my mom get off of drugs. And that act of me helping her get off of drugs was the catalyst for me going in and really figuring out what my purpose which was to help other women succeed, and ultimately has become to help other women discover their purpose in life and find careers that they love. And when I say careers, that could be a business, that could be a job, whatever that is for you, right? And so it has, further developed as I've gone on. But had I not started helping my mom, I might not know that this is a passion and this is what the Lord has placed on my spirit to do for the rest of my life. And the vehicle is, all the things that I do with the speaking and stuff. And so I didn't know that had I not been in action and been in motion, right? I didn't know it had I not been in motion and doing the things that made me happy. I wouldn't know what my ultimate purpose is right now, right? So I went to school to undergrad, and then I went and got a master's in social work. And as I was, finishing up that, I ended up getting a job in a hospital, and I became a medical social worker. And this was after several jobs, and I loved that job. But I knew that there was this calling on my life that I wasn't fully doing. I knew that I had this vehicle. Yes, I was helping women as a social worker, right? I used to work on the OBGYN floor of this major hospital in Baltimore. And so I was helping a lot of women, but the vehicle wasn't quite doing it for me. And some of you may be feeling the same way. The vehicle may not be doing it for you. If you are here live, Costella, hey, Deborah, I love seeing y'all. If y'all are here live with me, drop your name and where you're tuning in from in the chat. And Trey, welcome. If you're tuning in live, drop everything in the chat for me so that I can give you a shout out. Also, if you have felt this way, put yes in the chat. I like y'all talking back to me because it helps me know that y'all are with me, right? And Laura, welcome. So I was working at this major hospital, and what I was doing was amazing, right? What I was doing was helping women. Some women had drug addictions while they were pregnant and everything like that. And it was good work. It was really, really good work, but it was also draining work. And if you are social workers out there, shout out. My hat goes off to you. That's my background. That's my foundation. I love you all. But you all know that the work that we do as social workers is very, very hard. I would come into work and I would literally see babies going through withdrawal. That's not a sight that anybody wants to see on a daily basis. And so I had to pray about it because I'm like, Lord, I know that this is where you have me right now, but I don't know if this is the vehicle that I need to be in for, for the future. Right. And so I had to really start thinking about, I know that this is my purpose. I know that helping women succeed and be better, right, is my purpose, but what's the vehicle? What is the vehicle that you would have me be in? And he already gave me a voice to speak. He already had given me the voice to speak. And the chances are you already have the skills necessary to do and to walk in your purpose. Now, you might not think they are skills, but let me just tell you, honey, they are skills because not everybody has them. Not everybody has the skills that you have. And it is so important that you understand that. It's a gift. It is an absolute gift. And so I knew I had these skills and I knew that I wanted to speak. I had been drawn to the speaking industry for a long time. I can remember going to this conference, and it was a big conference, and it was at I think it was at like one of the Verizon Center or something like that in Washington, D.C., because that's where I used to live at. And it was a lot of heavy hitters in the speaking industry, and they were down there on the stage and they were speaking. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. That's what I was born to do. It was what I was born to do. And I know you feel like that. You got something that you was born to do. That shouldn't die. It shouldn't live inside. You need to put that on the outside. So when I was leaving, I so happened to see one of those big speakers in the hallway. I don't know how I ended up where she ended up. I know how. It wasn't nothing but the Lord. But I ended up in the same hallway that she ended up. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I love you so much. How do I do what you do? How do I speak like you? And she said, you know what, honey? You need to start with Toastmasters. And I was like, Toastmasters? What's Toastmasters? She's like, look it up. I said, okay. So I could not wait to get home, because this was back in the day. So cell phones was not like they are now, where I could like look stuff up like that. So I couldn't wait to get home, and I looked up Toastmasters, and I realized Toastmasters was a organization that helps you learn how to orate, right? Helps you learn how to communicate better, how to speak. And I joined my local Toastmasters. And before you know it, with less than 6 months, I was over 6 Toastmasters clubs. I was the regional director over 6 Toastmasters clubs. Because let me give you a secret. I just want to give y'all a secret. And this is one of the philosophies that I live by. I do everything at full level. I don't have anything. It's just who I am. If I'm going to do it, how do I get to the top at doing that thing? Right? If I'm going to spend my time and energy, if you're going to spend your time, energy, and probably coins on anything, why would you half do it? That's why y'all know, some of you may know, I teach at Life University here in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Masters of Positive Psychology coaching program. And some of my students who come through there, one of them is on this live, which I love. But some of my students come through there, they pay their hard-earned money to not do the work. Why? Why would you go to school and not show up and get all the information that is given to you? Right? Like, why would you do that? So either way, I, joined Toastmasters is everything. And it became one of the best things that I could have ever done. I learned how to orate even better than I did before. I became an area governor over about 6 Toastmasters, and I was doing all the things necessary. While I was there, I met a woman who told me about the National Speakers Association. I didn't know about that either. So Toastmasters teaches you how to speak. The National Speakers Association, NSA, teaches you how to get paid for speaking. Come on, somebody. And we all want to get paid, right? We all want to get paid to be able to speak and to do what it is that we love, right? So that was the thing. So I ended up joining my local Speakers Association, NSADC. And then I set my eyes on joining the National Speakers Association. But in order to join the National Speakers Association, you had to do 20 speeches within a calendar year and be paid for them. And I'm just kind of starting out. And so I'm like, okay, let me figure this thing out. But that was my goal, right? That was my goal. And I set out my plan to get 20 speaking engagements. I started off at Kiwanis clubs, Rotary clubs, and my very first speech was in front of a Kiwanis club. And honey, I forgot my whole speech, but I had it written down. I went over to my little table where my husband was sitting, because he's always there. And I looked at my first couple of words. I remembered it. I came back and I did my speech. I felt like I did terrible. My husband was like, no, you did amazing. And guess what? From there, I got another speaking engagement at a college university, and I ain't stopped since. Now I speak to thousands across the country, right? In audiences across the country, because I started I started with what I knew I was good at and my passion. I had a passion for pouring into the lives of people. Now I can't even tell you how many speeches I've done across the world and across the country because I started by just taking that first little step, right? So I don't have to do anything. So here I am doing all this speaking. I'm still working my social work job, trying to, do this. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm called to do this speaking, but I know that this is, it's hard to build a business. It's hard to build a business, but I was playing a little game. And this may be a game that you're playing as well. It's called To Quit or Not to Quit. I know some of y'all have played that game, or you're probably playing that game right now. So I contemplated on quitting my job. But of course, we got to be smart about things. And as I coach a lot of women right now, I really caution them against quitting their job, especially before they're ready, because at the end of the day, you have to have something to fall back on, because starting a business ain't easy. It, for me, in the long run, is definitely worth it, but it ain't easy, right? So I ultimately decided that I was going to quit my job. That's what we're going to do. So I made a plan and I handed in my resignation. But here's the thing. This is how I feel amazing the Lord works. They needed me and wanted me so bad that they hired me back through a temporary agency, doing my same job on a modified schedule. So instead of me working 5 days a week, full schedule, I was working 2 and 3 days a week, making more money than I was when I was working full time, because the hourly pay was higher. Now, yes, I did not have benefits, but this is the power of having partnership. My husband agreed that he would let me do my ventures in terms of business because he hoped that it would pay off someday. It paid off, let me just say. But he was the one who said that he would hold it down with the W-2. See, this is what people don't tell y'all, right? Like I'm gonna be real candid in all my classes and tell y'all behind the scenes, because I am so tired of y'all seeing all these coaches and people tell you this beautiful story about how they started a business and they want your money so that you can help them grow their business, the one that they're not building. Y'all, you can't do this stuff by yourself all the time. Now, yes, if you have, if you have lots of savings, all those things, all of that, then maybe. But for me, we didn't have that. I was working a social work job, and first of all, we don't get paid a lot of money anyway, right? So, but my husband said he'd hold it down. He'd hold it down. And so he held it down while I built the business for years. Now, granted, I have been in business for 15 years. I know you might just be now hearing about Dr. Kiki Ramsey, but I've been here. I've been here building a business for 15 years. And so we're here, I'm there. I decide to quit. They decide to hire me back. I'm making the same amount of money. And then I start going after my dreams of speaking. And it was still hard building that business. But a beautiful thing happened along the way. As I was building that business, a lot of women started asking me, hey, Kiki, because I wasn't Dr. Kiki at the time. They were like, can you help me with what you said? Right? Like you said that I needed to, quit my job. I needed to look for another job, or I need to really figure out my strengths, or I need to do this. Can you help me with that? I said, yeah, I can help you with that. Child, I ain't know how to help them with that. I ultimately figured out that thing was coaching. And when I figured out and I found coaching, let me tell you, my life changed. I was like, what? And so here's the thing. I always believe that when you're ready, the answers appear, right? The answers appear. For some of you, today might be your answer. Like I might be delivering the answer for you. When I was looking up coaching, this other word popped up, which was called positive psychology. And I told y'all at the beginning of the class what positive psychology was, which is the study of what goes right with you. How do you work from a place of strength? How do you, become more happier in your life? I was like, what? This is what I've always done. I've always done this, in terms of motivating people in my life. And so as I was looking at and contemplating going back to school, because I had always contemplated going back to school to get my PhD. When I was looking at that, I ran across a program, and it was a master's in positive psychology with a coaching emphasis. I said, you better shut the front door. Just shut the front door. What? You mean to tell me there's a master's in positive psychology? Now there's two. There's one at UPenn, and there was one at Life University. And the one at Life University had a coaching emphasis. And I said, oh, wow, this is amazing. And I need to learn what coaching is, because before this, I was still coaching people, but I didn't really know what coaching was. And so I ended up going to school and getting my coaching certification from Life University. And I'm going to fast forward the story because I really do want to get you guys, a couple steps that I want you to take in order to figure out your purpose in life as well. But it was one of the most beautiful experiences in my life. I met a professor there. Shout out to Dr. Mickey Parsons, who became my mentor, and him, along with my husband, challenged me to go get my PhD. And I did that. And I ultimately then came back to teach at Life University in the Master's of Positive Psychology coaching program. And I ultimately built another business called the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute. And we do leadership and diversity coaching and training in organizations across the U.S. And I have about 20 coaches who work for my organization right now. Come on, somebody. Talk about purpose and coming full circle, right? And so I still speak, I still write books, I teach, and I coach. All of those are my vehicles for me to do the same thing, which is to help women ultimately succeed. The same thing. And so you have to learn what that is for you. What is your vehicle? You can do this thing. It will absolutely change your life, because me discovering ultimately what my purpose is in the right vehicle changed my life, and it also changes other people's lives. So it is important that you do that. So the first thing that I need you to do is I need you to explore your passions. This is one. So now this is me giving you homework. So when you get into a real coaching session, if you were to ever coach with me on a real basis, we would co-create this, meaning I wouldn't just tell you what to do. You would, together we'd co-create this. But because we are not in a real coaching session, I'm going to give you some homework and some assignments to do, because in order for you to really dig in to what it is that you're supposed to do, you got to do some work around it. It took me some years to get to this place right here, where I know definitively what the Lord has done, right? And what I'm supposed to do in the earth. So you're going to have to do some work, and I want you to commit to that, because this is the only way that you're going to get to where you want to go, is that you do this work. And so this is me coaching you on what you need to do next. And so first of all, I need you to truly, truly, truly reflect on the activities that make you feel energized and fulfilled. Right? So I want everybody to get something to kind of write with, right? I'm hoping that you already have something, but if you do not do that, I'm telling y'all, I don't want to waste my breath, and I don't want to waste your time. I am coaching you. This is me coaching you. If you ever had a coach, this is me doing that. Thank you, Capri. Committed, right? If you are committed to that and you are joining me live, drop that thing in the chat. If you're not joining me live, drop it in the comments. Committed, right? Committed to doing the work, because that is the only way you're going to get to where you need to be, right? So get a journal, get something to write with, right? So what I need you to do is I need you to write in your journal. This is your journal prompt. What would you do for free just because you love it? What would you do for free just because you love it? Thank you, Deborah, for committing. And here's why I say that, right? I'm doing this class for free. Why? Because I love it. Like I feel energized talking to you. I'm so glad y'all here live, because baby, don't nobody like to talk to themselves, okay? So I feel energized talking to you and teaching you. Hi, Ayana. Thank you for being here. Thank you for committing as well. And so you need to get this journal, whatever, and you're going to have to do this. Now, let me just tell y'all this. I am a part of the 4 and the 5 a.m. club. I say 4 and 5 because some days I get up at 4, some days I get up at 5. And it just depends on what's on my schedule. But that is the most beautiful time in the world to get up and do work. In my house is quiet. Ain't nobody up. Ain't nobody expecting for me to email them back. And it's just one of the most beautiful times. Me getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning has literally single-handedly changed my life. And let me just tell you, I used to be a late owl. I could stay up late no matter what. But since I changed it and I get up early, it has changed my entire life. And there's a book called The 5 a.m. Club that you might want to check out. It's an amazing book. They tell you what to do when you get up. So like when I get up in the morning, I read the Bible. I may journal some important questions that I need to answer for myself that I may be contemplating. I read either a self-help book or I'll get some kind of reading in. It just depends, right? What I do in the morning time, but it is amazing. So I'm telling you that if you do this in the morning, this might help you. So get your journal, get your notebook, get whatever. And what would you do for free just because you loved it, right? I would do this for free, and I'm doing this for free just because I love it. I would coach for free just because I love it, but I don't. Because I don't have to, right? Not anymore. I'm at a place where I don't, but I do mentor, some young women who are in college who go to my alma mater and stuff like that. And so I still give back, but there's a lot of things. Everything that I do in my life, I could do it for free because I love it so much. What is that thing for you? Because we have to start figuring that out. Okay. Number 2, you have got to recognize your strengths. You got to recognize your strengths. And what do I mean by that? You are strong at something. All of us are strong at something. You have something that is your strength. My strength is communication. I know how to communicate with people. I am highly emotionally intelligent. I know when something wrong with you. I know when something going up. I can just sense it, and I'll be like, what's wrong? And people will be like, how you know something wrong? Because I know. I've been doing this thing for too long. It is a gift of mine. But here's the thing. Sometimes y'all think that just because you can do something like that, you don't feel like it's a gift. It is a gift. And you need to recognize your gifts. You have gifts, right? Like you have gifts. You got to recognize that thing. And so there's an assessment that I love. It's called the VIA Strengths Assessment, VIA. VIA, so the website I believe is viacharacter.org, VIA. So just look up the VIA Strengths Assessment. Or you can also do the Clifton Strengths Finder. Clifton Strengths Finder. So the VIA Strengths Assessment, you don't have to pay for. It's a free assessment, which I love. And so it kind of gives you your character strengths, right? Things like zest, love of learning, all of those things that I think are important. I do a lot of work in DE&I. And so I think that I have all my clients and my client organizations take the VIA Strengths Assessment, because when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think that knowing your character strengths are very, very important. But you also have the Clifton Strengths Finder, which is an amazing strengths test, but you got to find that out. Right? You got to figure out what you're actually good at, because what you're good at is a sneak peek into what your purpose is, into what your ultimate purpose is, right? Because I'm good at speaking, I can do a lot of things around speaking and communicating, right? And if I wasn't good at this, then, I'd have to do something different, but it would be a strength of mine. So don't operate outside of your strengths all the time. Don't try to always fix everything that's wrong with you. Look and figure out what your strengths are. Now, here's the thing. Positive psychology doesn't say that we don't work on weaknesses. We still do. We still work on things that are weaknesses. But at the end of the day, I sit at a place, and you may also sit at a place where you can hire for your weaknesses. That's what I do. Like, if I am not strong at something and I can get somebody else to do that thing, and that is their strength, baby, that's what I'm going to do. Now, we don't all have the luxury to do that. And I totally understand that. But if you do have the luxury to hire for your weaknesses, do that, and you focus on your strengths. But you got to know what you're strong at. Stop operating over here in a place where you're not strong at. That's why you're struggling. That's exactly why you're struggling, because you decide that you want to do something that you're not strong at. Let's switch that around this year. Let's only start operating in our strengths. So in your journal or your notebook or whatever, after you do the assessment, right? Clifton Strengths Finder is a fee, but it's worth it. The VIA Strengths Assessment is not a fee. After you take that, right, I want you to write down 3 things that you excel at and brainstorm how you can contribute those to others, right? So once you finish taking the assessments, make a list of 3 things that you excel at, and then brainstorm how you can use those 3 things to contribute to others, to make other people's lives better, which ultimately will allow you to make the world a better place. Y'all got it? Okay, so that's number 2. And then the last thing I want you to do is to really reflect on how you want to be remembered. Right? I've done this exercise before when it has come to my purpose and stuff like that. And I really had to reflect on, how did I want to be remembered when I'm gone from here? And I just, at the end of the day, I want to be remembered for making a difference in people's lives. I want to be remembered for helping people really discover what they were placed on this earth to do. I want to be remembered for helping people get out of jobs that they hate, right? I don't understand that. Like, why sit in a job that you hate? And I get it. We all got to make money, but there's plenty of ways to make money, but you got to get the mindset right. At some point, we're going to start talking about a poverty mindset and everything like that, and how to overcome that, because I had to overcome that to be where I am right now. But that's a whole nother class that I'm planning for y'all at some point in time. But at the end of the day, you got to think about how you want to be remembered. So in your journal or your notebook, I want you to write down, what problems in the world do you feel deeply connected to solving? What problems in the world do you feel deeply connected to solving? And that brings me back to my purpose-driven and passion-driven questions, right? So in my book, Get Courageous Now, A Woman's Guide to Finding Her Passions and Purpose in Life, you can get this on Amazon, and it's also on Audible. And yes, I did read it. Okay, I hate when the authors don't read their own books on Audible. So I read the book on Audible, so you can get it as well. But in chapter 2 of the book, I have what I created, which is passion-driven and purpose-driven questions. There are about like 15 to 16 of the passion driven and purpose driven questions in this book. And one of them, one of those questions is, what problems would you solve in the world? Like what makes you hurt? What's the pain that you feel? I've used these questions to help hundreds of women discover their purpose in life in some of my personal coaching. And so these questions can help further guide you along this path of you discovering your purpose. And so you might want to go ahead and check out and get the book. But when I answered that for myself, I couldn't help but to think back on how I truly hated to see my mom struggle with drug addiction. That thing made me cry all the time, and I lived it with her, right? I lived that thing with her. And that one thing pushed me to want to solve that problem for other people. So it started off with helping other women in their drug addiction, right? That's where I started my social work career and ultimately ended my social work career, to just helping women discover their God-given gifts and really the career that makes them shine, right? And so that's what I want you to write in your journal. So you got a couple of prompts to write in your journal. Here's your final assignment. When you do that, come back to this class and post in the comments that you finished it and tell me the outcome, right? Tell me the outcome. Because here's the thing about accountability. It's important. It's important. If you're accountable to no one, then most of the time stuff don't get done. And I know some of y'all feel independent and y'all don't need nobody and all this kind of stuff. Lies. The lies we tell. Because we need each other. We need each other. So I need you to do this homework and come back in the chat and be accountable for this. If you wrote committed, come back in the chat and be accountable for this. And don't let a lot of time pass, right? You got to act swiftly on some of these things, because I know a lot of times we do this, right? We do the work, or we don't do the work, and we say, oh, we feel excited in the moment, and then you don't do it. And then the time passes, and then you ain't done it. And you still stuck. You still where you're at. And I don't want that for you. So I really want you to come back. I want you to come back, and I want you to write it here, right? And then the last thing I'm gonna say before I hop off here is that I do this all the time. I do this in a community that I have called Thrive Society. Thrive Society, I coach every single month. It's private coaching just for the community. You can get on there. I do classes just like this. You can ask questions. I get to coach you personally based on what you bring, based on our monthly theme for it. We also have a workbook that you can download every single month where you check in, and it's a scale on how you're doing in certain areas of your life, which helps me learn what private classes that I'm teaching in the community. And it's just, I'm personally in there every day, motivating you and cheering you on, and I'm giving you prompts to do within the community as well. And so this is where I love to be at, because I get to do it with a group of women that I get to know better. So I'm inviting you to join Thrive Society. It's not expensive. Like it's just not. It's not expensive at all. From the sense of what you're going to get back from that community. So if you're interested in Thrive Society, go to kikiramsey.com and you'll see the link where you can click on Thrive Society. And I look forward to seeing you in the community. That way I can get to know you better and coach you on a personal level. But I'm always going to be back here as well. And so if this is what you need, then great. But if you want something a little bit deeper where you can connect personally with me, because I can't coach a lot of people one-on-one, because I run 2 major companies and I'm always doing something, and I teach at Life University. So, but this is my way that I can do that. And so I really do hope to see some of you in the community where we can begin to grow together and I can help you personally. All right, y'all. I love you. I can't wait to see you on the next class. Share this video with someone who you think needs it, someone who you care about. Because my goal this year, first of all, this year is the year of purpose. And my goal is to help hundreds of people discover their purpose and the career that they love. And then the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to get off for real, I'm going to be live this year at Thrive 25. It is my own personal conference where I'm going deep with women. It's called Thrive 25 Women's Conference. We're going to do this thing in person. We're going to do this thing in person. It is here in Atlanta, Georgia on July the 12th and 13th of this year. Make plans to be there. The early bird right now is still going on. So go ahead and get your, but please, please, please join me live. I want to feel y'all. I want to give y'all a hug. I want us to have fun together. And I also want to help you personally dig into this thing called purpose and find that job or career that you love. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Shapri, Bobby. Oh my God. Thank y'all all for being here live with me. I love y'all, and I will see y'all on the next class or either in Thrive Society. Take care, y'all.